So I want to get the best video quality that I can out of the rear facing camera that's connected to the dash cam in my Dodge Charger. So that's going to mean moving the rear facing camera from up there to outside the car somewhere. Now, they do make license plate mounts, but I don't want that. I don't want the camera that low. So I'm looking at possibly going right there. So with that shark fin antenna in mind, here's what I'm going to do. So I went onto eBay and I picked up a used shark fin antenna. Now obviously it's not going to stay this color, but I can carve this one up and not have to worry about messing up the one on my Charger. And what I've done is I 3D printed a little mount for that camera. The idea is I'm going to try to incorporate this into the back of that shark fin antenna. I want it to sit flush, or as flush as possible, with that outer shell. This will get the camera up high, which is what I want. I mean, a lot of people mount theirs down near the license plate so that if they get rear-ended, obviously they can read the license plates. For me, I have one of the Wolfbox dash cams, which basically replaces your rear view mirror. So this rear-facing camera acts as your rear view mirror. So I want it up high. I want as much visibility as possible. So I'm going to try to do this. Now, like I said, I developed this little mount, and the camera that's going to go in there will just slide in, clicks right into place. It's nice and secure, and it should sit nice and flush in there, recessed a little bit, but the housing should sit flush with the outside, I think. And my idea is then I'll paint this the same color that I'm going to paint the shark fin antenna. I'm probably going to go black. The rest of the trim on my car is black. But if I go black with all of this, then it should just kind of disappear into that shark fin antenna. Now, the other issue is, obviously, there's stuff in there. It should be, I believe it's your satellite radio antenna and your regular radio antenna. So I got to figure out how to get all this apart. So yeah, that's the first step. So the first thing I want to do is remove the bottom part here. So just some, what are these, Torx T8s. Should remove these Torx bits. Now, if you don't want to go and buy a used one on eBay or something, I think this costs like 60, 70 bucks, something like that. You can obviously go ahead and mess with yours. But they do have part numbers on them. So if you screw it up too bad, you can always replace it. Me, I don't know how long this is going to take to try to get this dialed in. I mean, I've been working on my 3D print idea here for a little while. Hasn't been any real rush on this. But I didn't want to take my antenna off, cut it up, and then end up running out of time and have to put it back together, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to do it this way. This way I can take my time, modify this thing. I don't have to rush. I mean, I do want it done before my upcoming road trip, but that's just in a few days, and there's a good chance I'm not going to get this done in time just because of my work schedule. But whatever, it is what it is. That's what those screws out. Now, it has clips here on the side. So I could probably take that tag off there, not like I really need it. There we go. The one side. And the other. All right, now for this part, to get this out, it's a pain. There's like 5 of those little clips on this side, like 5 there, a couple on the front, and you need to just kind of work this through where you can kind of release those fingers. It's like 5 little fingers sitting there all in a row, which I don't know why they did it this way. But you can actually, I found, if you take something like that, you can get it down in there, something long and flat. You can kind of release a bunch of them at once. But it's definitely, actually, yeah, see, try to show that up. Hopefully that'll show up on camera well. I'll try to zoom in on it if need be, but you can see these fingers releasing. There's 5 of them there. So we do, I should really get a vise and find a way to clamp this in this position, but whatever. Let's try a drill press vise. Just something to help hold it kind of vertical. Maybe that'll help a little bit, hopefully. All right. Fun part, trying to do all this without damaging anything. There we go. There we go. She started. Now we're getting somewhere. Pry that up. Now we got to do the front. A little bit of pressure on it, hopefully, maybe. Oh, I think that was it, releasing. Getting closer. There it is. And there it is. All right. All that to get this off. So, this, I believe, is your GPS antenna, SAT antenna, I think. And this one, that connects to that through that little connection. I believe that's your radio antenna. I could be wrong. I'm just guessing. What do I know? But now that we got this far, what I've done, where's my camera? There it is. So here's that 3D mount. The idea is that this will hopefully go inside there, which is going to mean cutting this, cutting that, which that doesn't really do anything. That didn't lock. So maybe we can come right between those two. Maybe we'll get lucky. We just have to hack that off. Hopefully not get into the antenna. This is glued in here. And then we'll have to mess with the mount. And again, it's going to come right between them. Hopefully we won't get into it. It's going to be close. Yeah. The idea is that this will go basically like that. So rather than mess with this awkward shape, I basically, in my slicer or in my CAD program, I basically cut the face off. Now, this is just a prototype. This is very rough. This is just PLA. I'll probably print the final thing out of PETG, see how that works. But once I have this all dialed in, if this fails in some way, then I'll be able to easily replace it. Again, it's a friction fit. So there's really, I put this little clip on the back there, and that's what hold, and then the camera just goes right up to the face, just like that. So now, with this, I can kind of start planning. I can use that as a guide to cut out this face shape. This is exactly the same size as this area. This part here will rest on the inside and give me an area to kind of silicone around that, kind of help hold that, to help seal it, hold it in place. So this is the size that I need to cut out. Oh, uh-oh. Don't want to drop that back on there and have it locked back in place. But now I can basically use that, get that lined up and cut that shape out. That's my plan anyway. All right, well, this whole project has taken a little bit longer than what I had hoped. It actually got put on the back burner for other projects, but I think we're going to finally hopefully get this thing finished today, hopefully. Anyway, I had to redesign, I'm not sure where I left off. So I had to redesign this camera housing because I had to include a notch for this gasket here that goes around the bottom. All right, so did that. That's all nice and secure. I still do have to RTV it in place, silicone it to seal it up. The other thing I had to do is I had to clearance this little section out here for the cable to kind of sit into so that this could go in, this plate. This plate actually has the connections to the antennas in there. So I also had to wallow this hole out a little bit in order to get the connector through for the wire. It has to come out here. I still have to trim this off so that this can just kind of go away basically. But this can now, I have enough slack. That cable sits in there flush, sits there nice and flat. I can now attach this back in here. Come on. Just about like that. There we go. And now these three wires will go through the roof of the car, and this will reconnect, and this will bolt to the top. So yeah, I got to trim these corners down. Like this whole shape, like I said, I couldn't really dial it into this. I figured I would just sand this down once it was attached. So I got to grab some RTV or some silicone, seal this up, and then I will sand this thing down. It still moves. I have a little bit of room so I can get in there. So yeah, I'll probably just pull this gasket back and silicone that in place. And then once that's done, I will mask off the lens and give this thing a coat of black paint. So that's where we're at. All right, so I've got the rear facing camera mounted. The new antenna's painted and mounted. Before I show you what it looks like on the car, I thought I would show you the video quality on the dash cam. So hopefully this video will do it some justice. Probably not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the SD card and show both clips of how this thing looked both before and after. But that thing is a crystal clear image, guys. I'm not sure. Look at that. Look how clear that is. I said hopefully this shows up well. I will do both. I'll pull the SD card from the camera and I'll give you that video footage. But yeah, that thing is super clear. So much better up on top of the car. Now, this is just kind of like a prototype. I did find some things that do need to get redone with it. Now, I did, like I said, I painted it, and I painted it with that like plastic dip stuff. It's the same thing that I've used on like blacking out emblems and things like that. So it blends in with the rest, like the spoiler on the car that's painted with the same plastic dip. So it kind of blends in with the black trim on the car, which I'm fine. I think it looks really good. The other thing I did was I got some Flex Seal and I caulked basically around the edge of the camera, the housing to the antenna cowl, I guess, or the antenna shell. And then I also did do a bead of Flex Seal around the camera itself, like right around the lens where it meets up with that 3D printed piece, just to help seal it up. But yeah, guys, I think it looks, the image is so much, I'm looking at it right now, it is so much better. I'm not looking through a slanted back window that's also tinted. That really did inhibit the image quality. Now it's just, that thing is just a beautiful image up there. I'm gonna run an errand right now. When I get home, I will show you how it looks mounted on the car. All right, guys, so overall, there it is mounted to the car. Now you can see, yeah, it needs some work. there's still a bit of a gap at the base. I don't know how well it's going to show up, but you can see a bit of a gap there at the base. Like I said, it's been painted with Plastidip and the seams were Flex Sealed. I did also silicone before I Flex Sealed. The Flex Seal is just kind of like a backup. There we go. There you can really see the gap in the base. So there is some work needed. I obviously got to tighten that down some more. It's just kind of all temp installed right now. I don't even have the headliner fully back in yet. But yeah, honestly, guys, it's really not bad for a prototype. For a little one-off thing. Just kind of being black, everything being black, and the camera is right up. I'm not sure that's going to show up, but I'll try to brighten that up when I edit. But yeah, there you go. So yeah, overall, not a bad project. Like I said, it's the first attempt at this. I'm probably going to revamp it and put it back together. But for a first run, not bad. Now, like I said, I'm not going to go into details as far as the design of this thing, because you know, this is pretty much only going to fit Dodge products. So, but it's something that you can do if you got a 3D printer and some time. It's something that you can do on your car with a 3D printer. Appreciate you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe, hit the bell. See you on the next one.